Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the KITZUR SHABBOS. We're talking about how to eat food and avoid the prohibition of boirer. Likach hatzamos mibasa, taking out the bones from the meat. Gam nichnas v'dinim elu din hafradas basa me'atzamos shabai. Where included in these halachas is going to be removing the meat from the bones on Shabbos. Shabbos va'oichel, the flesh, the meat, that's the oichel, that's the food. V'atzamos apsoilis, and the bones is what you don't want. There's a lot of caution and there's a lot of carefulness that has to be taken when you're eating meat and fish. That have bones, if you didn't remove the bones beforehand. Some fish has a lot of bones, meat, chicken on the bone. So shebekal yecholim livgoy be'isabar, very easy to trample on to the prohibition over here of boirer, of separating. Kevan sheyesh lanu haklal shemutar livror eicha mitoch chafsod samach le'achila. Since we have the main concept over here that you can separate food from what you don't want, as it's samach, it's close to the time of eating. So therefore you could remove the chicken from the bone when you're close to the time of eating. And if you normally do this with a fork and a knife, you can use a fork and a knife over here as well, but only at the time that you're eating. So I'm allowed to remove the meat from the bone, that's the good from the bad. I can do it with a fork and a knife because that's like the extension of my hands. I don't have to be a caveman over here and start eating with my hands in a messy way. I'm allowed to be civil and use the fork and the knife. Now, if it's difficult to remove the meat from the bones, and certainly if there's a lot of small little bones like you have in fish sometimes, you're allowed to take the bones from the flesh, from the meat, as long as you leave some of the meat together with the bones. You take meat together with the bones, that would be okay. And you're going to eat the meat that is on the bones. So I guess you're gonna remove bones. You're gonna remove the bones with the meat, and then your intention is also that you're allowed to eat the meat that's going to come off on those bones. Very small bones, where there's no meat on them at all, like these very skinny fish bones. You can like suck on them after you remove them. After you remove them from the meat. If there will be meat surrounding all the bones, you'd be allowed to remove it. Even if you're not going to eat the meat, like we wrote above earlier in this chapter. That's all at the time that you're actually eating. Then you can rely upon taking the bones with some of the meat. Or the small ones with the intention that you're going to, I guess, suck them out. But before you eat, when you're preparing the meal, in those cases you have to take only the meat from the bones. Is the food from what you don't want. That can only be done with your hand and not with a fork and a knife. You can't use a knife to remove the meat. Like we explained above. But if it's hard to remove the meat from the bone without a knife, it's possible, according to everybody, you'd be allowed to use a knife in that case. In a situation where it's difficult to do what we said, you have a real need. You have kids that need to eat. You could rely upon the more lenient opinions. Shematirim gam lihasir atzamas min abas. You can remove the bones from the meat. V'gam samach le'achil, even close to the meal. Ava b'choza yaseh kol biyad v'lei b'chli. You have to do that only with your hand, not with a fork or a knife. V'yesh lasas mikaydem she'elis chacham. And really, you should go and ask a shayla before you do such a thing. And he concludes, V'yavsham, he says, V'yavei aminak she'beharbe batim oichin v'shabbos dagim mamulin. Maybe that's why there's such a concept, such a custom. In many homes, people eat gefilte fish. Because all the bones have been taken out already. Now we have nothing to worry about. There won't be any malacha that a person is going to transgress. So if you want to, or just make sure that you tell the fishery to fillet the fish, so therefore there won't be bones in there as well. All the best. Have a wonderful day.